Hello and welcome back to the Apprentice One-to-One podcast. It is me, Mark, and I am joined by a new guest on the show tonight. So first up, who are you? Let's hear a bit about yourself and an intro there, please.
I'm Damon Blakemore from Blakemore Plumbing, Heating, Renewables. I've been self-employed 4 years. Before that, I worked at council, and just started my renewable journey about 18 months ago. So
Awesome. So first up, you are not the regular electrician type of guest we have on this show. You are potentially considered the enemy. So you're from the plumbing and heating space, but our worlds seem to be merging together, don't they, more than ever.
This time I think we're having to start become friends.
Yeah, that's it. We used to fighting over who's got the space in the bathrooms and the kitchens and where our pipe run cable runs are, but we've got to get on now. So yeah, I've had a little look on your website and stuff, and you're kind of underselling yourself a little bit there because I've seen you were the heating installer of the year for 22 and 23 in Yorkshire and Humber. Is that right?
That's correct. Runner up in 22.
Sweet.
Got first in nationals. So yeah, first year I entered, then come runner up. So then that's why I entered again to try and win it. You know, it bugs you when you get so close to something and then don't get
It's
it.
it's bit of recognition. It's good, isn't it? And yeah, credit to you. And I think are you one of the heat geek installers? Well, I'm not really
Yeah,
super
yeah,
knowledgeable in the sort of heating space, but I've heard of Heat Geek, quite a big deal, and you're in and amongst all that, I think.
yeah. And the elite as they call them, one of the original ones. Not that we're more better than anyone else. It's just a name that you get as such.
So is that primarily heat pumps then? Is that what Heat Geek?
Yes. So it come out during like COVID just to as a eating to try and push industry on as such because we're kind of de-skilled now in plumbing and eating world. You know, just
Interesting.
age of combi boiler, and you kind of lost everything that your job were kind of about. You know, just boiler up, we'll walk away, and then obviously with decarbonisation and aims for government, it come across and Adam saw a market where we could try and change for the better where
Yeah.
people work, where people do, but it's not just tied to installers now. You know, homeowners do it, customers, other people from other trades. You got office workers that are doing them, manufacturers. So it's it's a good course. I recommend it.
Nice. I mean, it's interesting when we look in the electrical industry, we often hold you guys up and girls from sort of the gas safe side of things, how that's such a good thing, and it really works well, and we should be doing stuff like that. But having spoken from a few gas engineers and people from the heating world, it maybe isn't all roses and the grass is always greener or whatever those sayings are. How do you find that kind of thing as someone who experiences it?
It's full of cowboys. That world, you know, it's. I think gas safe a product that's just there to make money. I don't think they don't really do much. I mean, gas safety is a big thing. It can't be undermined or thought of anything less. But nothing really happens. You know, it's people just slinging boilers on, not caring. And you see it with them servicing contracts. It's big companies take more than offering like 20, 30 pound for a boiler service, and then asking you to do 10, 11 a day. It's like physically impossible. I bet you get the same with like, is it
The ICRs.
yeah, that's word that I didn't want to be wrong. I would have got some stick.
It is. I mean,
You
that's
know,
the
like
thing.
win.
You kind of get stuck in your own rabbit holes, don't you, and see what's in your industry. And we just think with electrics, it's kind of all just the ICRs and pack testing and consumer unit changes. And this stuff's all been done just in our industry, but it's more wide than that, isn't it? In construction, I think you see it in the plumbing, gas, and even the heat pump world. I think there's a few installs out there that maybe haven't been done to the highest standards with those as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I always thought we coming from gas and being on there for like 17 years and seeing how bad that were, and then getting into the noble side of like hand on heart, I think it's worse. I think there's more unscrupulous people in there, especially when companies and customers are paying a lot of money for this product now. And I think if it's not for that big push and like being on industry, I don't think anything would change. I think there's a lot of people that's got a lot to answer for because it's shocking. I don't know how they've got away with it.
Yeah, I mean, we have our separate industries where you've got gas safe and we've got the NIC and NAPIT and such, but there is a kind of body that link us together a little bit these days, and that's MCS. That's one of the reasons we got talking over on Twitter, isn't it? We were having a little chat about that and some of the differences that's applicable to heat pumps and solar PV and battery storage, and there are some differences, but there's some common ground as well. So what's your experience of MCS?
Yeah, it's not great. I'll be honest about it, and I probably make a bit of rod for my own back with how vocal I am about it. But it's just I don't think it's good. I don't think it's up to scratch. I don't think it offers. And for my trouble, where I got into it, where I found issues with it, was I'd come into this like designing and not knowing nothing about F-gas or anything, just system design, and it's just an heat source. And finding jobs that I'll go into were just poorly installed. But you got people paying like 15,000 to 20,000 pounds for these jobs. I bills and that, and just the basics were wrong. So then when you start going and have a look at seeing that process down the line, and these companies are being audited, they've got all they seem to be care about is this paperwork's in order. And then deep you look into it, there's nothing about system efficiency, there's nothing about quality. It's all about, have you got paper right? You know, that, and that's it. I don't see anything else. And you got rec, you've got eyes, the consumer protection's not there. No, one of these jobs that I've been on, it's been 2 years, and now he's paid me to move heat pump because he's still going through off-tech, and it just through rec, through MCS. You just seem to be in brick walls all the time. So I got my MCS just to kind of, I don't think you can moan about something without being in it, because then your point's not valid. So I went on my own process myself. I work on myself, and it cost a lot of money and a lot of time for a lot of pointless stuff. That's my frustration with it.
It is expensive from our side as well. So just to break it down for us, because from the electrician side, if we want to be installing solar PV and batteries, we really kind of have to be MCS registered, because our customers want to go on to export tariffs, and the DNO currently won't allow that without an MCS certificate. So do you guys and girls have to be MCS for something similar, or is it more of a choice?
Yeah,
your
so
side with the heat pumps?
You have to for RHI, you have to get the bus grant. So the 7,500, it has to go through MCS, and their regulations as such. You can't offer it without.
So they kind of got a hold on us, haven't they, from the start, really?
To everything, and I think now they're not part of government. I think it's its own body or something. So they actually, you can't even. I don't think you can even tender for that now. I think that's just they're just there, and they just do whatever the hell they want. And
so with MCS from your side, then do you have like an application, then an on-site assessment, so they come out and see you before they let you in and stuff?
Well, through your awarding body, so your competent person scheme, so APHC, NAPIT, or NICIS, I always say it wrong.
NICIC.
Or off-tech, I think they're the 4 that you can do. I'm with APHC because I had a good background in them, because I use them anyway, but my audit, I got 2 like minor infringements or whatever they were. I don't think what they're called. Like nothing on this, nothing for the job. But I had no contents page in my handover pack, what I got pulled for. And my cylinder benchmark, I'd filled it in on the cylinder on the sticker that they do it, and they wanted a paper copy of it. So they wouldn't pass me until I got that. Like, I'd done an heat pump in a 4-story house with underfloor heating at 35 degrees. We sold the thermal. You know, the job was, I was quite proud of that job, and I expected when they come out to give me some feedback on that. That's where thermostats were. They were none, because it was just running on weather compensation, and they were only bothered about discharge pipe from cylinder. And then I get pulled for a contents page.
I can relate. We had that. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? I'm only 1 year into being a member of MCS. We're quite new to solar PV, and we had a similar stuff with a handover pack and the disclaimers, but nothing about our work on site or anything.
Yeah, no, and then the more you look through it, you've got all stuff like on your quality management system that's just built up with loads of stuff. You have to have a meeting once a year with myself just to mark stuff down. You've got to have all certificates for your equipment, and it's set up so if you've got a lot of office staff, it's easily done. There's a lot of pointless stuff in there. I think it just needs to be completely stripped back, like burnt down to the ground and rebuilt. Especially if you want any.
Is that happening in your sector? 'Cause I know with us, it's changing a little bit with MCS. So I think next time they come out and audit us, it's going to be more site-based, and they're less worried about the office side of things. That is a change they've made. It went out for draft public comment or whatever they call it. But I don't know if that's the same for you as well. Is that similar?
They've had a few like processes where they put them out and you have to write
Yeah.
write you think. Not many that responded. That's why Nesta did that big survey as well. Because I think people just get frustrated and you like bang your head against the wall. Like, what are they doing it for now? It's been this bad for years, what's this sudden change? Is it because they've been forced? Because they've been seen that they're not doing it right? If they're doing it that way, then it's not genuine why they're doing it. They should be doing it to improve the system because it's a bad system, not to look like you're doing something just to make it look like you're doing something, if you get what I mean. I don't understand what they're trying to achieve.
You need the engagement of the people who are doing the work at the end of the day, don't you? I mean, I don't mind being part of these kind of schemes and systems if they offer value. I think if a consumer's going to get that quality service from a registered contractor who is MCS approved, then I'd be happy to pay for that. But it's the same in the solar PV side where that maybe doesn't always happen. And I don't know if it's to do with subcontracting. Some of the stuff I've seen going on is that there'll be these big like umbrella companies, if you like, who will sell solar systems in large volume. You see the adverts on Instagram, Facebook and stuff. And then they'll sub that out to an installer, and they can even subcontract the MCS element out as well. That goes on. Is that the same with heat pumps?
Yeah, exactly the same. First up point, there's got to be something there. There's got to be something to regulate us. We've got to have rules. If there's not, it's just going to be a free for all, especially when there's like government money in hand. So there's got to be something there to a law for you to be told. But this is a big part of the problem is these umbrella schemes. They just make money, so they'll do it. They'll charge you whatever to do it. The designs are rubbish. All they want to do is just chuck them in. Their aftercare is rubbish because who do you deal with? Do you deal with umbrella company or do you deal with installer? These installers that are coming out, are they just plumbers? Do they know what they're doing? Because you've still got to have an element of knowing what system you're setting up. So how are you commissioning it? How are you telling the customer what they're doing? But they just seem to come out, subcontract them, then they go and then they roll over and then they start a business up under another name and then another name. But same thing happens over and over again. And it's always where there's government money involved or free money that these happens. It happened with eco schemes. It is just someone's making a lot of money from this stuff.
We see the same with solar. We don't have the same government grants as such. We've not got this £7,500 or whatever it is that is applicable to heat pumps, but there's still a lot of that going on. There's still aggressive sales, if you like, and companies going through a volume of customers and then failing, rolling over and starting again. And that gives some realistic price expectations to some of the genuine contractors out there who will pitch into the same customers because they'll turn around and say, you're expensive, or this other company can do it in a day, or whatever. And you're kind of having that constant battle, if you like, to make your case that it doesn't happen like that. And then you've got long-term prospects. It sounds like it's pretty similar with the heat pumps, but with a grant side thrown in as well.
Yeah, it is. And you get people undercutting and then you go in and then you're trying to, you sell yourself in your business of what you can offer. But then when someone's like £4,000 or £5,000 cheaper than you, and you're trying to then just tell them, look, you're not going to get the same job as they're going to put you that job in. You'll probably never see them or hear from them again. No one at end of phone. Like when people are ringing, like people like us, we answer the phone, we deal with any complaints, we see them, we'll design it, we'll take all that. So it's like there's only me, but it's like a family business to me. It's like something without engagement with them customers. They have like salespeople that come out who just got a notepad and just do stuff and then leave. And I had some solar guys here gave me a quote, and like he left me baffled at the end. He was telling me I'd generate all this energy and do all this and the bills are dropping. I'm like, but what about when I'm not in the house? Because he weren't telling me no batteries. And it gives you that sheet where it says your generation or whatever. And when I started looking into it, that it was like, wait, I'm not even gonna. Yeah, what's he trying to get? He was like £17,000 off me for 18 panels or something.
Yeah, a lot of the solar companies try and get people just into G98 arrangements, which are smaller size inverters, but with bigger arrays because they can bulk up the cost and they don't have to do the DNO work. And that's where the battery side often gets omitted as well. So that's a common trait. But with your side of things, just our side again with the MCS side, we have to do those proposals that you've seen. Do you have to do stuff like that as well for your customers? Tell them how long their repayment periods will be, how the system's expected to perform?
You don't have to do anything on repayment. And to be honest, if you go in for an heat pump, you're never really going to get that repayment. I mean, PV and batteries, you can actually see that physically and get that back.
Yeah.
Heat pumps, you have to like run it 350% efficient to break even with gas.
Yeah.
So it's only your higher end install, your better installs that you're going to get that. And even then you're going to be, with price of electric, you're still not going to be, it's going to be years. So I think that's why they don't do that. But we don't have to give a pay about, we just have to give a sheet of expected performance coupled with his heat loss and his design and everything like that. And we have to sign a contract with them. But then there's like that cooling off period, which is just crazy as well. Like,
I've seen those terms. It's the same in our sector. Get your money
you've
back.
got like 14 days from the first day that you start work or something. So you're like, you could go through, you could do a full array, I could do an heat pump after 7 days. They could then turn around and say, oh yeah, we don't want it. Like, where do you stand with that?
And that's enough to finish a small business, isn't it? Is the truth.
100%.
You only really have got a couple of jobs going like that, and that's you done. Like, it's the same for any small contractor. So it's like sometimes those roadblocks are put up to maybe stop us from being involved. That I'm sure that's not the case, but that's how it sometimes feels. So definitely from the electrical side, we've just gone through that massive expense. We've had to pay for Heiss and Rec, even though now we don't need that, I'm told. We've had to pay for MCS. You have to notify every job. They were on about a £5,000 bond as well for people who were just coming into doing it. I think they've got rid of that. They've changed their mind on that one. But we need all these extra people in PV and battery, smaller contractors like us, and your side as well from heat pumps to get involved, don't we? But there doesn't seem to be the encouragement. It's just all agency and subcontract labour with these massive umbrella firms.
Yeah. The thing is, you've got to do it right. Like heat pump side, I'm sure solar as well, is you've got to be good at it, and it takes time. Money is not, everyone says, oh, money this, that, and other, but your money is relative to length of job. So my price doesn't change just because of doing something else. It's just that you're on that job for longer. So you might have 5-6 days on a job instead of just jobbing 1-2 days. If you're a jobbing plumber, you can earn more doing that than you can do heat pumps. You know, especially with stress that you've got afterwards of it, and just going through that, because there's a lot. You've got to build a relationship with your customer more than just putting a boiler up wall. You've got all this paperwork that you've got to go through. You're going through and sometimes you've got to, like, not convince it, but you've got to oversell yourself to it, because they don't know what they're doing. So you spend a lot of hours unpaid, phone calls, emails that you don't get charged for. Probably a working day on average on every job that's not paid with.
It's the same with solar and batteries as well. It sounds so similar. It's frustrating as well, isn't it? Because customers don't see that, and when you're pricing your jobs, you know, there is elements of that factored into the ones you do win. One of the things I do find confusing, I ask you about, is COP and SCOP. So that's something I've seen on socials, where I'll see the heat pumps, yourself as well, talking about it. And I'm like, I don't understand exactly what that is. I've got a rough idea. But do you have that a lot with consumers, trying to explain that to them?
Yeah, you know, it's a bit of fun with that open energy monitor. But that's not everything, because you've got to take into account installation costs and running costs as well, which is a big thing. But your only general idea of how it's running is by your efficiency. So your COP is your coefficient of performance, like what it's running at that point, and your SCOP's seasonal. So that's over a 12-month period. So if you've got a SCOP like 4.2, you've been running 420% efficient for the 12-month period. It's a bit annoying to take that down, to take it down to like 9 months instead, and take summer months out when you've got no heating on. So
it's a bit like your mile per gallon in a car, like, in essence. A bit like mile per gallon in a car, when you might do it instantaneously going up a hill.
What you'll say, MCS gas for a minimum of 2.8, but 2.8 is, to break parity with gas pricing, you've got to hit 3.5. In my view, you should be in a 3.5 minimum and above. For your customer, if you're getting anything less than that, I'd be disappointed. And but I think they did average MCS install it like 2.6, 2.7 from what they got, RHI days, which is a bit crazy.
That must be difficult for you as installers to see that, because obviously those things people always go on the internet to complain, don't they? So you'll see that where my heat pump's crap, or it'll be on the news. It's not working. It's costing me a fortune. And you must look at that and think, well, you know, it doesn't take a great deal to shift that around and make it perform better. And it kind of gives it a bad rep. Do you see bits of that as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. You know, you get it from both sides. It's like extremists on gas and heat pumps one way or another. cause a bit of friction at the minute. I think everyone just needs to join together. But yeah,
It's the way we're going, isn't it? It's not people like yourself who've decided we're having heat pumps. This is government policy, isn't it? They want to decarbonise, stop burning gas. Whatever the ins and outs and reasons behind that, that's beyond our control. It's what's happening, isn't it?
Yeah. I just kind of fell into it, to be honest. I didn't expect to go that way. I just started. I enjoy the design side. I enjoy the system side and getting things and creating, because every different heat pumps, every job's different. You could have two houses next to each other. They'll have a different control strategy, how they use the heating, a little bit of different heat loss maybe. So every job you have to design for that job, which is nice. And then it just kind of just happened and just steamrolled. So
So
I've got such,
are you super busy with these then? You're like,
yeah, yeah. I've got 9 confirmed now. I just need to start fitting them in somehow. But it's hard on your own, I've got one. I'll do one next week, and it's like 123 kg to move.
wow.
So it's
you're looking at recruiting then or anything? Are you thinking of maybe an apprentice or
well,
carrying
yeah,
on?
apprentice is something that thing with apprentices, I want to be able to take someone and be able to give them that time, like what I had when I was apprentice. Mine was 5 years long when I was at Rotherham Council, and like it was so good because you had time to, like, you've got to make mistakes to learn. That's
100%.
I make them all the time, just we like heat pump, just take something on, just take a job and learn and do it. I don't think you can read all books you want, but I don't think you find learning better than messing something up. So I want to be able to do that, and I want to be able to give them that quality time. Just at the minute, we've been on my own, and we all paperwork stuff on back and everything. I think I'd struggle. I won't want someone to come and work with me and not enjoy it.
No.
That'd be my biggest fear of letting someone down like that. I took someone on last year, but that didn't work out. They left, which left me in a bit of an hole in December. So yeah, I'm a bit tainted now with my trust.
It gets like that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's like that. It definitely does. Are you seeing a change in the apprenticeship again from the plumbing side? So obviously you're traditionally gas and water waste. Now you've got this heat pump side. Is it changed, or is it all the same training and you just bolt on the heat pump stuff down the road?
Yeah, fair old training needs, everything's just, if anything, it's got worse. They do them short courses now where they just chuck people through college just for numbers. It's not their fault. They're wanting to go and do something, and they're coming out after 2 years and not knowing really anything. They just sit. But apprenticeships have gone. I think my time I was doing it, I think apprenticeships were on the way out then. But you look like that 5 years, and everyone wants a lot of money now as well straight away. I hardly got paid for 5 years, getting up at 6 a.m, catching 2 buses for my apprenticeship. Like you won't get hardly anyone doing that. They've got to want it as well. There's been a big change in mentality of people since 10, 15 years ago. It's world's different, isn't it?
I think it's the same across. What you just said resonates just the same in the electrical industry, and I'm sure it's the same for plasterers, joiners, whatever you like. There's no real difference in that. I think we've got to maybe try and get schools to help a little bit in selling that you're getting paid to train at the end of the day, aren't you? It's all right that the wages aren't the best, let's be honest, but it's what you go through. And if you're off to university or anywhere else, you're paying thousands of pounds for that, aren't you? This is free, and it's going to be a way to earn a living for a long, long time. I imagine there's millions of heat pumps that are going to need to be installed in the next few years, and it'll see people like yourself very much kept in good work. And then there's all the maintenance afterwards as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and just fix it. Yeah, at a minute, like every week, I'm probably going to tour over installs that are rubbish. Picking them up, and that, I think that's probably the hardest bit of my job at the minute is going to these installs where they've paid a lot, and then telling them they need to spend this much money to put it right when they shouldn't. It's like kind of soul destroying for it. I really hate that bit of my job. Like I've given people quite a bit of time free just because I've tried to improve it. It's not improved as a thought, because then another problem crops up, and then you're like, how can you keep? I know it's not them, but then how can you just keep that taking money off them when you can't do anything for it? It needs all stripping back and doing it. Problem is when you it catches you up. I wouldn't say that, but you're on your own worst enemy at times when you actually give a damn about what you're doing.
Trying to help people, aren't you, at the end of the day? It's like you've seen something and you want to help and improve it, but sometimes the effort in trying to do it You know, like you say, it just leads to more. But we've had the same. We've had a solar job that we're working on at the minute where the original installers have gone out of business. It's one of these big companies that just roll over and start again. And it's not been done to the best. The roof had some leaks on it. The panels were stringed up right. The inverter was over peaking in voltage. And you're looking at it thinking, I could try and make this work and fiddle around with it. But the best solution is to take it off and start again. But you tell that to the customer and the cost. And then they're dealing with ISO rec, I won't say which one. And they're no help. MCS the same. It's really difficult.
Yeah, that is the whole frustrating side of, we get back to the whole thing is like they need to like grow some holes as such, sorry for language, and like be able to like be able to punish these people. Like, 'cause there's no punishment. They're getting off scot-free. Like, they shouldn't be able to fold a company and then just open another company. Like, that name should be banned from MCS. Like, you can't get no grants. You're not allowed to give feedback tariff. You're not allowed to access that, you know, that's kind of stuff that needs to be happening. Or they start getting this bus grant back. You know, if you're not, you owe this grant, it goes on company, you know, and gets that, or incentivize it so you're getting good performance and then you're getting more there. They've got to do something and shake it up, because it's just open to be abused.
It's accountability to it all, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
From your side, if you report one of these companies, do they listen? I know from our side, if we make a complaint, it's difficult unless the customer makes that complaint, and sometimes they don't want to. It's the truth. Do they listen from your side? If, say, you ring them up and say, "Look, I found this shocking install. You need to look at this."
No, they go to they have to get it reported to them by the customer. So the one up at Sanity Sheffield I went to 2 years ago, got recommended from another job, and I went up and it was just his bills. He couldn't afford to run it. It'd been 4 months. I think his bill was nearly £2,000. It was a new build house. It was just a mess. It ended up being 20 ml plastic just chucked under the house, just no lagging on it. They were losing 12 degrees between his outside and then what we're going to his house. His house was cold. His heat pump was just going round all the time. Electric was just, it was through the roof. He couldn't run it. So tried to make a few changes. Didn't work. Improved a little bit, but didn't. After a year, Offtech finally come out, then said they can't do anything because you've had changes made to the system. It's like, but I couldn't afford to run it. So then it's still going back through. LG had been out with that bloke. They had a conversation outside, then disappeared. Nothing got done. So I actually moved it just before Christmas. We moved it to the other side of the house for it's shorter and done it. It's working a lot better, but compressor's like knackered now on a 2-year-old unit. LG won't do it because it needs to go back to the manufacturer because they don't have a base as such warranty thing. So you have to go back to where you bought it from. They have no idea where they bought it from because they didn't supply it. So now he's buying a new heat pump, and we're going to fit that, but that's like 2 years for something where they're part of a consumer code where they've had this signed off, where it's been audited. I mean, it even got signed off and there was no commissioning sheet, and they've even written it down that no commissioning sheet and never followed it up. MCA, you know, it's
not good, is it? It's not good.
It's not, is it? You know, when they're the body that we're looking to for as guidance and as rules. Like,
but they're paying customers at the end of the day. When you look at it, I don't know what it costs you guys, but it's a significant amount, and we have to pay on every job we do for the insurances and stuff as well going forward. So I mean, has to be some accountability of them at some level, surely.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and it's frustrating not just for you, it's for customers as well, isn't it? You know, and more of this is going to come out. I really can see, like, have you been missold an heat pump PPI thing coming at some point?
You make a good point. That'll probably be a thing, won't it?
Yeah, and that's going to open you up to all sorts.
Yeah, the legal eagles don't miss a trick. If they see an avenue to make some money and help supposedly consumers out as well, get some cash back. The trouble is, like when a lot of these big companies sink, it's not like a big bank, is it, where they have to keep going or they'll be bailed out. So yeah, I don't know quite how that'll play out in time, but I can see it happening. You were dead right. That'll be a thing.
You saw it all with damp, with cavity wall as soon as people started.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Damp come, and then landlords and that were getting like, you'd start getting punished for that. You could have you had damp in your property, have you had cavity wall soon? You can see it coming a mile off. And there'll be nothing worse for industry than that happening, because then everyone will just be like, no, we don't want heat pump, we're not going to go. Then decarbonising doesn't happen, and then what did he do? They're back to square one.
Yeah.
So something needs to start happening, and quite fast, to be honest.
Do you think they need to modernise it a bit somehow in the way these jobs are notified? Because I know I'm just thinking of our inverters when we commission a Give Energy inverter, for example. They want to see pictures of the install and isolators in place and stuff as part of that commissioning process. Do you think MCS should maybe allow a portal that uploads pictures of the install that maybe they can look at and spot check remotely through the year or something? Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, something like that and good. And all these different bits that you've got to do for different people, you know. When I do it, I have to then go to APHC and do a building reg certificate for heat pump and for cylinder. Then I have to get that and put it into another handover pipe. Why can't it just be an online portal, just what's simple? You can just get, they could even bring an app out. So there's a lot of money in MCS. You know, they've got that many people doing it. They've got a hell of a lot of money somewhere. So why can't they just make that app, make it easier? You know, take pictures, put it up, scan it, so it all automates it all the way through, and
Makes
have
sense.
that file online with them. So then, if there is any issues, they can just bring that file up.
They could eat. That seems like something simple that they could do to have oversight of stuff from afar. Because thinking of it from their side, if they're only coming out to see the contractor once a year and you're putting, I don't know, 1 or 2 jobs forward for them to look at, and they're, like we've just said, looking at paperwork more than anything, not going to get a good flavour, are they? But if they've got a team of auditors who are looking through those submissions day to day, just pulling them out at random, and then they could say, actually, we want to go and see that contractor on site a couple of times a year or whatever, can't they?
Yeah, and there should be random spot checks as well. We are installer there, I think, and also these audits have got to actually know what they're doing as well. That I think that's a big problem. Is they're just following a script, and that you don't have to be knowledgeable to follow that script. It's just a tick box exercise. Is lagging sleeved? Is this done? Is this done? Is this done? Have they got this? That's it, done. Really, that's not what's that telling you really, apart from that you've I think I got a picture at MCS chair, so I think there's 9 things on it, and not one of them really with bad performance.
No.
Like,
so I mean, really, you want someone of equivalence, experience, and qualification as you, as the very least, don't you? Who's going to go and see an install and know what they're looking at, and base their decisions on that rather than just ticking boxes. I think, yeah, there's so many synergies between us in terms of how that all works, not just with MCS, more widely out in industry, to do with training. The things you've said are going to resonate a lot with a regular audience of electricians who listen to this. We have the same problem with short courses, the same problem with apprenticeships. I'm thinking of the DNO chat we had as well. I know you've done a bit of data logging. Have you had issues with them rejecting heat pump installations because of maximum demand and stuff?
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, for heat pumps, you've got to be a planning officer, you've got to be an electrician, you've got to be plumber, designer, like the office worker. There's so much you've got to do. DNO is just, as you found out, I was struggling with it. Everyone you come to, it were like 150, 200 amps if I use it diversity calculation. I mean, I went to one and I think he had 8 ring mains at 32 amp, one in each bedroom, 3 sockets, and I was putting it in that app because I bought that app at first.
Yeah.
Putting up like 240 amps just on ring main. I'm like, oh God. Like,
that's the out of date IET guide on that is so ridiculous, and it's the same for us with EV chargers more than PV and batteries. The same thing. You've just got to, we call it engineering judgment, which is basically ignoring what's in that book and coming to your own conclusion. As long as you can make it a justifiable case. Data logging's a good way. I think we spoke about that. Obviously, you make some seasonal adjustments, but there's the expense of the equipment of that again, isn't it? For you, you won't have that in your kit day to day, whereas we will. So there's that side of expense you've got to cover as well.
Yeah, it were.
Are you using an electrician to help you out with that?
Yeah. So I've got an electrician that Sam, who's been doing all my heat pump stuff. So I'll send it all to him. He'll do diversity calculation for me, and I bought a Testo like amp reader. So I'll put it on,
yeah.
And I'll turn everything on possible that I've got, and send him that reading as well. Yeah. And then we'll have a look, because also the problem you've got with data logging is you're doing it over a period. And other companies aren't doing this, you know, like
they're not.
I had this conversation with National Grid, and because 3 of mine had got pulled, and they had to go out and check stuff. And he was saying like he recognised his name, he's saying because no one, and this is where that conversation come from. Because he said no one else is getting rejected when everyone else is just putting 59 amps down. And then when I start looking into it, because under 60 amps, you don't have to.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and even one of these was an octopus job. I don't even say that, but I went and got actually one job and done it, but my maximum demand comes to 81 amps. Theirs were at 59.
Yeah.
Like, how can there be that big disparity between two things? Like, and for me, if I get it wrong, it's going to cost me a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
It's
the best guess. It's the best guess at the end of the day, but coming from your side where you're maybe not used to dealing with that, some people, I think Neil Bridgman, who you've maybe had an interaction with on Twitter, he takes a approach like you've done in getting that peak value and then roughly runs off sort of 35% of that as to be a realistic level. I don't think that's an unreasonable way of looking at it. The same with your data logging. You know, it's tricky. And it's sometimes trying to guess the impossible goal. You don't know how people are going to use their systems, do you? They might chuck everything on all at once. Who knows?
That's it.
It's just the best guess. And I think the DNOs are taking liberties a little bit because they give these supplies out 60 amps, 80 amps, 100 amps, whatever it is. And people should be allowed to use them in whatever way they like. I think, you know, their input in all of that maybe needs to be negated a bit. I think solar PV and battery storage is going to help. She was saying like the heat pump side of things and the cost in comparison to gas, maybe in a selling point. But when you combine that with solar, you know, you can run your heat pump from sunshine. The two kind of fit together well, don't they?
Yeah. That's perfect. If you a big outlay, but you know, if you like say all the Trinity there, you've got all that together. You're open to tariffs. You're open to then amplifying that PV that you've got into your heat pump and multiplying your free generation. You know, if you've got an heat pump running at 420 and you're putting a 3 kilowatt in it, you've got stored in your battery, you're like 500% efficient as such because you're not paying for that in the first place. So yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Northern Power Grid they're actually taking all 100 amp fuses out now and knocking them down to 80. So if I go there's an 100 amp fuse on there and my max demand I'm putting 90, they'll take it out at 80 and say, don't let it exceed 80, but if you're happy with it, then we'll let you install it. So you're like, okay, but then saying, well,
they're a law to themselves. A lot of new build now, they're putting on 80 amp supplies, and I think they've changed the wording in the ENA. So this is national, not just Northern Power Grid. I'm in the same area as you, so I deal with Northern Power Grid as well. But they're starting to do that on all single phase new builds, 80 amp max. But you know, I've seen in my house, I've got an electric van, got a solar PV and batteries. My peaks are only sort of 20, 30 amps. They're not massive. I think as people move towards that, the peaks will lower because you can utilize your power through your battery, sort of take those peaks and troughs away. But for the minute, it's a hurdle we've got to get through. And it's interesting to hear your side of that as well, that it's not just unique to us again. I'm thinking again from my side, from when we go out and do proposals, I'll get asked a lot about heat pumps. So where solar PV installers, they'll say, "Oh, do you do heat pumps as well?" Because people are looking for those combined systems. Do you get those inquiries in the opposite way around?
Yeah. To be fair, not that many before, but now I'm getting quite a few. More projects with where more renovations. So they'll send like a plan over and that, and they'll say, "Oh, and we're wanting PV. Is that something you can offer?" I inquired about. I don't mind doing it. I inquired about. There's a place in Monty Electrics.
Yep, arena training.
Yes, I actually asked him about whether that was something I'd be able to do. But he was like, "Look, it's going to take probably 5 years." And by that point, probably everyone's going to have solar, so there's no point in me really doing that. But I wanted to do that as well to learn this DNO side and learn that because there's so much in electrics that I don't know. You know, it's trying to pick bits as you go along, and it's not my trade. Like a trade's a trade in my eyes. Like you specialize in that trade.
Yep.
Like if you're doing a bit of everything, you like say jack of all trades, can't you? You know, it's
exactly. Monty's dead right.
Make an educated decision on site.
Yeah.
Because when you're applying to DNO, it's probably taking. I've got 2 at minute what I've done with Northwest Utilities. One of them been done since last October, just for them to go out and check fuse. I've sent them picture at fuse like 5 times and it's still not been out. That's
no way.
5 months.
Wow.
you
That's
know,
crazy.
yeah,
Madness. I
and
mean,
that's
Monty's dead right. I've done the same as you, but in the opposite direction. I've inquired about heat pump training because
right, okay,
we've been looking at doing that, but I've come to the same conclusion as yourself. It's a specialist trade, but you make these inquiries and feel things out when people are asking you questions. So we're looking more towards a local link up, if you like, with
yeah,
a heat pump installer. I think that's probably the way it's going to go as people kind of make those inquiries. Because other companies maybe won't take the view that we have, that these are specialist trades, and they will start packaging it up through subcontracted teams, and then people like us will miss out on both sides, won't they? So I think that
yeah,
needs to happen.
yeah, it's that's a good way. That's what I've been doing with heat pumps as well. When on bigger jobs, I've been pulling a couple of other installers in just to help me who want to do them heat pumps as well. It helps them learn because they want to go that journey. So definitely with something like that, it's good to do. You know, you find someone local you can trust as well, who you know has got that quality of work, and yeah, it's I think that'll be a bit future as like two businesses linking up on projects,
Yeah,
but more yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, we maybe have to have a chat offline about maybe doing some of that ourselves, because you're in Sheffield, we're just in East York, so there may be something that we can work out between ourselves. But it's definitely an avenue electricians and plumbers, heating engineers should be looking at combined with themselves. I know we've had a bit of a moan about MCS, and rightly so, and other parts of industry as well, but more widely looking at this, it's quite exciting, isn't it? There's a huge opportunity for tradespeople, I think, in both those two areas.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I'll say like I'm on a lot, but I've probably enjoyed my job most that I've enjoyed it in a long time. You know, and the thing you're getting now is you're getting that customer interaction. So they're wanting to know about these jobs. Whereas before I'd go and put a boiler on the wall and walk out and probably not speak to customer all day. Now
Yeah,
people interested and you can have an educated conversation with them. They want to know what you're gonna do, why you're gonna do this, why is that, you know, which makes your job a lot better because when you get that relationship with them rather than just being a number in your phone. It's nice. It makes day go better. It makes job go easier because you can ring them, they can ring you openly. It's not awkward as such. So yeah, and products are getting better all the time, and new stuff's coming out all the time. Yeah, it's new challenges.
you have a lot of manufacturer led training as well, then, because we certainly do with inverters and batteries.
Um, yeah, and yes and no. They do manufacturing days, but a lot of them are like sales days. So I prefer going to training where I'm going to come out and be like question stuff and learn. I don't like because I get bored just sitting there all day anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got to be a
so
buy-in for you, hasn't there? At some level, you either want bit of knowledge that's going to be useful,
yeah,
or discounts and stuff for free helps. But it's like
yeah.
otherwise, it's I know what you mean with the sales pitches. Sometimes it can be like that, definitely.
Yeah, especially when you want like an in-depth and more to learn about that product, and really you just going in, you don't learn anything about it. Like even if I come away just taking one thing away from it, you've learned something, it's valuable. But when
Yeah.
especially when you're taking a day off work and you just go in and you're just like, why did I do that? You know, it's
Yeah, you want the technical support people there, don't you, to speak to rather
yeah,
than the sales reps. When you've got that, I think it works really well. We had a good one with Give Energy actually that was really useful because it was like that more than sales. But yeah, it does vary depending on who's doing it, I guess. So it's been interesting to see the synergies that are existing between plumbers and electricians, and the stuff that is there for us in the future, and hopefully if enough smaller contractors, I think sometimes it feels like we don't have a voice when you are a little contractor and you're speaking about things like MCS and stuff. But if enough people share their experiences, then maybe they will have to start to listen a little bit and be more focused on helping us at the end of the day. I think that would be a good message to take away from our chat today.
yeah, 100%. I think probably little guys saying more is going to make a bigger difference at big guys because big guys are usually happy. It's usually us that see all stuff that's wrong in industry. So if they start listening, I don't know, they could get a little union thing to, just something for the actual small businesses to be able to go forward and not just be ignored with it, which we often do. We often are.
Yeah. It's the way it is, isn't it? I think you can end
Yeah.
up in that what feels like an echo chamber where you're shouting from the top of your lungs, but no one's hearing what you're saying. Hopefully MCS might see sight of this and have a little think to themselves and maybe offer some of the stuff they are doing that we don't know about. They might want to come on the podcast and have a chat as well. You never know in the future. But is there anything else you want to add, Damon, before we end that? And I realise I've taken enough of your time already.
No, not really, mate. So yeah, it's been
and if there are any electricians listening who want to get in touch with a heat pump engineer because they've got their customers who are asking for them, I know you're busy anyway, but where could they get in touch with you? Have you got any social media or website they can hit you up on?
Yeah, I've got a website. It's just in the middle of being changed at the minute because it's mainly gas. I go on Twitter quite a lot.
I'll drop your links in the show notes. So if anyone does want to get in touch with Damon and have a chat about heat pumps or anything we've discussed on there, you'll be able to find him below if you just go down and have a little click through. I think it's Damon_BPHR if I've written it down right. It's his Twitter handle. And Blakemore Plumbing and Heating on Google if you give it a little search, but currently been updated. So don't hold him to account on the gas stuff. It's going to be updated soon. I've enjoyed having a chat, mate. You're welcome back anytime you want to come and have a discussion about MCS, apprenticeships, whatever. I think it's been quite insightful to hear your side of things and see how it does compare with electrical side. And maybe I'll jump over and have a chat with some plumbers at some stage on their shows. If there's any out there I need to know about to go and have a moan about electrical stuff, let me know.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Cheers, mate. We'll speak again soon. Catch you later. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. So you've been listening to the Apprentice 1-to-1 podcast, and a huge shout out to our supporters and sponsors, and they are Team IMD, which is Proteus, Tamlex, Centaur, M2, and others in that group, LK Energy Switches and Controls, Modexsoft Electrical OM, Klein Tools and Super Rod, Test Instrument Solutions, aka TIS, and the Installer Trades Installer Show group. We massively appreciate that support and thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed this week's show.